there, I'm Declan Trainer. You're welcome to February's episode of the Virginia Roundup. Well, we've survived January into February and hopefully into longer and brighter days, and hopefully the weather will start to get a little bit milder and a little bit drier. Now, we've got a very busy programme for you today, but before we get to that, I just want to remind you, if you want to get in touch with us about anything at all, our email address is thevirginiaroundup@gmail.com. You'll also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Virginia Roundup. And of course, you can send us a voice note. It's speakpipe.com/The Virginia Roundup. We'd love to hear your comments on the programme. And indeed, plenty to talk about on the programme this month. We will be having two in-depth conversations, interviews in relation to the N3 Virginia bypass and the bombshell that was dropped at the Cavan County Council meeting last week, where the planning stage of the Virginia bypass has been deferred by almost 2 years. But more about that a little bit later on. But right now it's time for Age Defy Fitness with Gary Brazil.
Age Defy Fitness on the Virginia Roundup with Gary Brazil and Steel Flex Gym. Coming soon to Virginia. Stay tuned for more details.
Hey folks, Gary Brazil here, personal trainer, coach, former I'll Start Monday guy and founder of Age Defy Fitness. If this is your first time tuning into my piece on the Virginia Roundup, you're very welcome. If you've been here before, well, you know what I'm all about. I specialise in helping men and women over 40, the ones who feel like they've tried it all, the ones who've had the gym memberships, the diet books, the plans that lasted a week. I help them finally take back control, not just with fat loss, but with confidence, energy and a real mindset shift. Now, let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt properly confident in your own skin? Because here's what I see every single week working with men and women over 40. Their biggest issue isn't the belly fat. It isn't the low energy. It isn't even the fitness. It's confidence, or more specifically, the confidence gap. And the confidence gap is that uncomfortable space between who you used to be and who you feel like now. You look in the mirror and you don't quite recognize yourself. The clothes fit differently. You feel a bit stiffer. You feel heavier. You feel a bit slower. You walk up the stairs and you notice it. You sit on the sofa and it takes a little bit more effort to get back up, and slowly, quietly, something is changing in your head. You stop feeling capable, you stop feeling strong, and you stop feeling like the version of you that had discipline. You start telling yourself stories like, I've let myself go, I'm past it, I don't have the willpower anymore, I wouldn't even know where to start, I'd look stupid in the gym. That voice doesn't appear overnight. It builds over years. Years of putting yourself last, years of work stress, years of raising kids, years of late nights, and years of saying, I'd start Monday. And every Monday that doesn't happen chips away at something. You don't just gain weight, you lose belief. And here's the part most people don't realise. When someone comes to me and says they want to lose weight, 9 times out of 10, what they really mean is, I want to feel like myself again. They don't want to look 25. They don't want the magazine cover body. They want to walk into a room without adjusting their top. They want to carry the shopping bags in without puffing. They want energy at 7 p.m. They want to stop avoiding mirrors. They want their confidence back. And I know this personally because there was a period in my life where I was deep in that confidence gap. A sedentary job, bad habits, alcohol playing too big a role, body dysmorphia, anxiety, depression. On the outside, look grand. On the inside, I didn't trust myself. I'd say I'd start Monday. Monday would come and go. I'd say I'd train. Didn't happen. I'd say I'd clean things up. Didn't happen. And every broken promise chipped away in my confidence. Not my muscles, my confidence. And that's when something clicked for me. Confidence isn't about abs. It's about integrity with yourself. It's about self-trust. Because here's the hard truth. Confidence drops when you repeatedly don't do what you say you will. So it's not age, it's not hormones, it's not genetics, it's self-trust. Your brain keeps score. If you promise yourself you'll walk and you don't, your brain notices. If you promise you'll train and you don't, it notices. And if you say this time will be different and it isn't, your brain definitely notices that too. Over time, you stop believing in yourself. That's the confidence gap. And no supplement in the world will fix that. Now, let's talk about the gym piece because this is huge. People tell me all the time, I need to get fitter before I join the gym. I'd be embarrassed. Everyone's going to be staring at me. Now, let me be very, very blunt here. Nobody gives a shit. The 25-year-old lad filming his arms is not watching you. The girl doing the hip thrust is not analysing your form or how you're doing your exercises. Everyone's too busy worrying about themselves. They have their own things going on. But when you've let yourself drift for years, walking back into a gym feels like admitting defeat. But it's not defeat. It's ownership. And here's another truth people don't like hearing. After 40, life just gets heavier. Career pressure, financial stress, kids, aging parents, less sleep, more sitting. Muscle drops if you don't train. Energy drops if you don't move. Belly fat creeps in when stress and sleep are poor. And the real problem is that you've stopped prioritizing yourself. You feel like you don't have time for you. And when you stop prioritizing yourself long enough, your identity changes. You go from, I'm someone who trains, or I'm somebody who goes out walking 5-6 nights a week, to, I used to be fit. And that shift, that's the gap. So how do we close that? So it's not with extremes. It's not with punishing yourself. It's not with some all or nothing training program. We close it by rebuilding self-trust. And the first step of that is shrink your promise. Don't say to yourself one morning, or say to yourself a number of times a week, I'm transforming my life. Say to yourself, I'm going to walk for 10 minutes. Keep it so small, it's almost impossible to fail. Next step, strength training. This is massive, because when somebody over 40 lifts weights properly, your posture improves, your energy improves, your sleep improves, your body shape improves, and your confidence improves. And to the women that are listening, you're not going to bulk up. You're not going to look like a bodybuilder because you don't have the testosterone levels to do that. But you will get stronger, you will feel tighter, you will feel more defined. I see it all the time. Now, step 3, structure over motivation. Motivation is emotional, but structure is reliable. So, keeping it simple, 2 gym sessions a week. Do your daily steps. Protein with every meal. Simple, repeatable, boring. But boring builds confidence. Because every time you show up when you said you would, you rebuild trust with yourself. Every time you complete the session you promised yourself, you rebuild belief. And every time you do the walk you didn't feel like doing, you close that gap. Slowly, quietly, and powerfully. So if you feel behind, you're not behind. If you feel embarrassed starting again, you're not weak. If you feel like you've let yourself go, you can take yourself back. Confidence isn't something you wait to feel. It's something you earn. 1 promise kept, 1 session done, 1 week repeated. And if you want structure, accountability, or someone in your corner who understands what it's like to rebuild after 40, I coach in person at Steel Flex Gym in Cross, which is moving soon to Virginia Town. And I coach online too. Drop me a message on Instagram, Gary Brazil, Age Defy Fitness, or on Facebook at Age Defy Fitness with Gary Brazil. And let's get your confidence back. And if you want more information on Steel Flex Gym in Virginia, why not follow their page on Instagram at steelflex_gym. I'm Gary Brazil. This is Age Defy Fitness, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Age Defy Fitness on the Virginia Roundup with Gary Brazil and Steel Flex Gym. Coming soon to Virginia. Stay tuned for more details.
You can listen to all of the previous episodes of the Virginia Roundup wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Audible, and at thevirginiaroundup.podbean.com.
Many thanks for that, Gary. And of course, Gary will be back with us next month here on the Virginia Roundup. Now, as you are no doubt aware, Cavan County councillors have reacted angrily to the news that the delivery of the N3 Virginia bypass has been pushed back yet again. The scheme will now not go to planning until at least the last quarter of next year, 2027. Now, that's at the earliest. Cavan County Council was told at their monthly meeting last Monday on the 10th of February. Virginia Councillor T.P. O'Reilly of Fine Gael, who tabled a motion looking for good news, was under the impression that the project was supposed to go ahead to planning in early this year. However, Director of Services Paddy Connaughton delivered the unwanted update that it would be most likely Q4 of 2027 before the project reaches the planning stage. So it seems to be just delay upon delay. Well, joining me on the line is Councillor T.P. O'Reilly. T.P., thanks for joining us here on the Virginia Roundup.
Declan, how are you?
Not so bad. So you had raised a motion at the County Council meeting to seek an update on the progression of the Virginia bypass, and were you expecting this bombshell that was dropped?
No, I suppose the reason I put it in, Declan, was because I had a whimper maybe that it was been pushed back to Q4 2026, so I raised the motion to see how it was progressing as it was proposed for early spring 26. So yeah, to be told then it was Q4 27 was the kind that really took the bottom out of me, you know.
Yeah, and I suppose the reaction in the chamber was probably very angry, was it?
Look, every councillor was very irate, I suppose, because like we've had so many false starts on this over the last number of years that it's just, and you know, when the date was put out and proposed dates, and we all accept that there's nothing set in stone and things, events take a turn, like COVID would have an impact, would have had an impact back then. But since COVID has ceased and we've got back on track again, we were told that, first of all, it was Q4 25, so that came and went, and it was Q1 26. So, like, you know, throwing out dates that have no meaning is really, it's a pointless exercise. Like, you know, throwing codding people, like, you know, giving them dates and then not sticking to them. It's just not on.
Yeah. And do you think that the taxpayer has been shortchanged because is it a lack of urgency? Is it bureaucratic red tape, or is just are we just being pushed to the bottom of the pile?
Look, I suppose it's a little bit of everything. And I suppose that's where the problem lies, because no one has taken full responsibility for it, to why it's not progressing. You have the consultants there. They have been on board from day one, and they're supposed to take it through to construction stage. So it's them that gives us the dates. It's CII is funding them. So I suppose you're caught between the two as to the blame game or where the blame game lies. But I'm not taking it lying down, and I'm going to go to at the next council meeting, request that JP Barry's come in and give their account of why it's delayed and what the reason is behind it, you know.
And to a certain extent, is it out of the hands of Cavan County Council at this stage? As you say, it's TII and it's transport.
It more or less is, and see, that's the problem. It seems to be that everyone's just quick to jump and blame the council, but it's really it's a national problem. It's a national issue. But Cavan County Council has a team fully dedicated to progressing this, but it just seems to be, I think, at the hands of TII, at the door of TII now, why it's not progressing, you know.
And it's not just an impact on Virginia; it's the entire county, and indeed beyond the county of Cavan, that will be affected by this lack of movement in this project.
Absolutely, it's the gateway in and out of Cavan, and everything has to flow through Virginia. So you know, it's hampering business. You know, not just Virginia, and it's having a big impact on business because cars can't get pulling up, and it's just a constant stream of traffic from morning to night. And then if there's at school times and that, then it's you know, it's just impassable. So, but it's having an effect. The amount of commuters going through Virginia, you know, to Dublin every day is the numbers has increased there too, and it's them stuck in traffic morning and night. It's I suppose. At this day and age, I feel that people deserve better. Yeah,
and I suppose, as you say there, if people are 20 to 45 minutes maybe even to get to Virginia, they're not likely to stop in Virginia to pop into the shops at that stage. They're so frustrated they just want to get to their destination.
You're frustrated as soon as you come up to the Lakeside Manor and you see the line of cars in front of you. All you want to do is just get through it, you know what I mean? So you're not going to stop. You don't have the will to stop, I suppose, to do a bit of shopping or anything on the way through. So no, you're going to keep going and try and get through it. But the other side of that is people then not going through Virginia, that's using the roads adjacent to Virginia to bypass the town. And we're having serious impact on them roads. Them roads is not fit for the volumes of traffic that they're taking, and the roads is getting an awful hammering. And in this weather, they're just roads are disintegrating. And you know, people's ringing us. I've never had so many calls, I suppose, since Christmas about the roads. And I know the weather has been bad, but the roads just seem to be disintegrating, and it's there's no extra funding there. And we're being told there's limited amount of funding and limited resources. So. I don't know. There has to be more. Like in this day and age, there has to be a bit more emphasis on getting our main infrastructure, which is the roads, getting it up to a standard. We've had an active travel, an allocation for active travel before Christmas. I forget now was the allocation for Cavan Monaghan. We have yet to have an allocation for a roads programme in Cavan.
Yeah,
we're into the middle of February. Council doesn't even know how much money the department's going to fund them for this year to get the roads up and running. You know, this should all be done last year. Should we starting on a clean slate in January and know the funding that's ahead of you and what you can do and can't do. But I don't know why the department, it just seems so intent on not funding the roads. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and as you say there, residents in areas, particularly, I know there's been protests and that kind of thing. Winter Maher and Cross in relation to these roads being used as a racetrack, because despite the L3022 was reduced to a 60-kilometre speed limit a year or two ago, but I suppose traffic is travelling well in excess of this speed. and also, as you say, HGVs and. The road isn't fit for those kind of vehicles travelling along them. It's a health and safety issue as well as an inconvenience.
And I suppose that's, as councillors, that's what we are trying to raise at the minute, that it is a health and safety issue, and we don't want to see fatalities on these roads. The way things is going, that's what's going to happen. And people's going to turn around and say, well, look, if we told you so, and there's nothing about it. So I suppose that's where I'm coming from. There's, as much as anything else, and it'd be great, lovely to have a bypass, but no one wants to see a fatality or in the near future because of lack of government and department, I suppose, taking heed to the problems that we have around the town.
Yeah. And do you think it's going to lead to people kind of hollowing out of the town, if you like, where people choosing to live further away, maybe the Dublin side of Virginia, but not in Virginia or the Cavan side of Virginia, because they don't want to deal with that gridlock every day?
Yeah, but look, there's a lot of people avoiding Virginia. I know anyone on the Mahara side of Virginia, they'll go to Cllrs long before they'll even head in Virginia. I know my mother in Liscray will head to Ballyjames before she'll even venture into town. Like, do you know what I mean? Because it's just the torture and the headache of going in and trying to get through the traffic and parking and everything else. You know, she won't face for the town to go to Ballyduff. And
I suppose there's people who've been affected who are effectively in limbo because there's been a pause on housing, on planning applications, maybe people whose land is potentially going to be CPO. They don't know what situation they're in at the moment, and they can't plan for the future until this is all sorted.
Yeah, and I've been talking to several people just in the last few days over it that would have businesses, farmers, we say especially, that have, they don't know what road to turn. Like, I have one man there, he's talking about putting in an underpass. He doesn't know whether to go ahead with it because he doesn't know will he get planning for it. And that's only one instance. I have another man there who's potentially going to take the house. And he's in the same boat. He doesn't know like what the story is, or and it's the uncertainty going forward, like that you don't know what's going to happen in your life for the next, and you're talking about for the next 10 years, like so. Yeah. They need certainty. They need some sort of I suppose, concrete evidence that this is going to progress. And this is we're only talking about getting this progress to planning stage. Like this is a good journey to go. The planning phase, like, it's going to be 18 months to 2 years. And then it all has to be CPO'd, and that's without objections. That's without maybe Board Planala getting involved, maybe going to judicial reviews. There's so much obstacles in the way, and we just can't even seem to get across the first one.
And when do you think, if everything did go to plan, when do you think the first digger would hit the ground? Would it be early 2030s? Being optimistic.
Well, there was I don't know, was it 500 or 600 million allocation there before Christmas, when the government announced a couple of major infrastructural projects for Cavan Monaghan. The Virginia bypass was one of them, and this was in their next capital plan. Yeah. And it was one of them, and that was announced before Christmas. So it would have been due to start at the latest 2030 if it's part of that plan. But making these announcements and no follow up and no, like, it's grand the day they make them, but nothing seems to progress. And I'm afraid, and I'm a party member, but what I'm listening to and hearing is all these announcements and little progress, and it's not just on that. It seems to be everything.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating.
We're not unique in that way, unfortunately.
No, definitely not. But you know what I mean. Then you don't make announcements if you're not going to have some follow through on them. Like,
you have to follow through on your promises.
Yeah.
We put a post up on social media in relation to the delays, and a lot of people, it's sparked a lot of debate, and not even necessarily about the bypass, but I suppose it's other frustrations that are coming to the fore. Like, one person mentioned about the work that was done on the main street, that they feel that they're one of only 3 original families living over the businesses on the main street, and they feel that the Virginia town has been destroyed by these works, and that it was people outside of the town who didn't live in the town had the influence on the decision that was made. Also in relation to waste sewage going into the lake from down the river from the plant. That was another comment that was raised. And also one person said that it is a joke, but thoughts should turn to how to reduce traffic until this is completed. How many people are sitting in cars coming into Virginia in the evenings could take a bus to Dublin if there were more direct services like Cavan to Dublin via Virginia, no Blanchardstown, no Finglas, or any stops from Virginia to O'Connell Street, along with a decent separate bus service for Navan? Because it is ridiculous. If you want to get to Navan from Virginia, you have to go to Cllrs, wait for another bus, maybe 20, 30 minutes, and then get a connecting bus. And also local reps should be pushing for the bypass, but also pushing for decent working from home policies, as much as the office workers clogging up the town have no need to be in an office in Dublin. It worked during COVID. Plus, it would boost local businesses, and ask any young person who's travelling to Dublin for work, it's a 100% vote getter.
Yeah, and you made a couple of real good, valid points there. The one thing I have about the working from home is grand, but a lot of people can work from home, and there is facilities about in the, like at the show centre and that, where there is internet facilities and people can go. You have the hub in Cavan down there, so people can go there to do their work if they need internet access. But the majority of people has good internet access in the country at home at present. Mm-hmm. So it's not but not everyone can work from home. Yeah. And the amount of people that's travelling up to Dublin, I'd say it's vastly reduced, because there's a lot of people maybe split between 5 days, but they're not 5 days working in Dublin. I know a lot of people that's working in Dublin maybe only 2 days a week, 3 days a week. So the numbers is reduced in that sense. But we have 20% more population in this country than we had a number of years ago. Yeah. So automatically that's going to be 20% more cars on the road. So the volume of cars on the road is increasing all the time. When you go to any house in the country, one car is nothing now. Like, I know kids, as soon as they leave school now, they're into their car, and that's that's a reality of life. And we talked about the allocation for active travel, where I see Cavan Town, where we have cycle lanes nearly on all the roads in and out of Cavan Town at the minute. I just made an observation last October, and I brought it up at a meeting, that it was great to see the active travel, it was great to see the cycle lanes, but I'd yet to see a bicycle or meet a bicycle coming in or out of Cavan Town any time that I have been in it. Yeah. Now, I had made that observation last October. This is now February. I have yet to see a bicycle on any of the bicycle lanes in Cavan Town at any stage, and I'm in Cavan Town 2-3 times a week. Yeah. So we build this utopia up to where it's great. We'll all be out on bicycles, and we'll all be active, and we'll be walking. But it's not the reality that people face on a daily basis. Yeah. Yes, we'd love to have a bus service that would be. There's a bus every hour from Cavan to Dublin. The services is there, but people is very reluctant to get out of the car. And on an evening like that, hop on a bus. You know what I mean? In the rain and everything. So, we can build all these ideas up that if we had public service, we wouldn't use our car. But we are a nation of car users, because we're fairly rural, and we all like our cars. I like to drive a fairly good car if we can. It's 5 or 6 years old, but you like to drive a fairly decent car if you can. Yeah. And we're as a nation, that's the way we are, and that's the way we're built. So, but powers that be tell us no, we shouldn't be like that. We should be using public transport, and we shouldn't. But if the public transport is there, maybe I think people might use it more. There should be, like, in an ideal world, we should have a train at least to Navan. Yeah. That has never even been, not even on the cards. That's what I'm saying. Like, so talk about getting a bus service. Could we not get a bypass at least first? And we can still do all these things. Yeah. But to try and say, well, we don't need the bypass if we get a proper bus service is nonsense. Yeah, but I suppose as a stopgap, maybe it would help fill the gap for the whatever the number of years it is until the bypass is complete. Absolutely, but I'm not going to let people off the hook on this. Yeah, well, that's true. This has to go ahead. So to say we'll get a better bus service is a way of letting them off the hook again. Yeah, it's a sticking plaster solution. Yeah. And I suppose the thing as well in relation to public transport is that's fine if you live in or within walking distance of a town. But if you're outside the town, you're still probably going to have to park your car and get on the bus. Or where I live, the local link passes my house regularly, and it's a brilliant service, and I've spoken to people about it. It's a brilliant service. But for me to take the local link, I'd have to drive either to Ballyjamestown or to Virginia to get the bus. So it defeats the purpose. The local link passes my road. I live with 5 minutes from Ardlow Cross. The local link passes both ways. Brilliant service. Now, for me to get the local link, I'd have to drive to Virginia or drive to Billabong. Yeah.
Well, I can see the local income pass from my front garden, so yeah, like yourself.
So, but that's what I'm saying. There's an awful lot of common sense stuff that just seems to be lacking at the minute, like where the bus cannot pull up at certain spots along the road. You know what I mean? And I know we have to take safety and everything into consideration, but the volume of cars on the road and everything, like people say kids should be cycling in school, but kids shouldn't be cycling in school if they don't have a safe way of doing that.
Yeah.
So, but we're spending money on greenways and we're spending money on other infrastructures when that's fine, and I'm all for that. And I'd love to see greenways and I'd love to see money being spent on active travel. But the fact that we don't have a proper main infrastructure, if our roads are up to standard and up to an acceptable level, that people can use them safely and not damaging their cars, that's fine. Then we can invest in the separate infrastructure. But we keep breaking our allocation down. So much has to go to roads, so much has to go to repairs, so much has to go to active travel, so much for something else. But time it's split up, then it's kind of lost.
Yeah.
Because if we can pool all that money together, at least for a couple of years, so we'd get our roads up to a standard that's usable. I think that's what we need to do.
Yeah, instead of watering the funding down, I suppose.
Because it's at the minute, like the roads, I've never had as many calls about the roads. And definitely in my 7 years or whatever on the council. So look, it's very frustrating, and you're telling people, I actually have to hang my head in shame sometimes going out now in the last while, because you're meeting people and the first thing they're going to say to you, what's the story on the road, my road, and you're there saying, not this year, and they're saying, well, when? I don't know. So
yeah, and then is it a case then that because sometimes I see not just in Cavan but in other counties coming towards the end of the year, there's roadworks taking place on resurfacing on roads that are perfectly fine. Is it a case that the budget has to be used up, otherwise it won't be use it or lose it? You won't get the same budget the following year.
Well, this is it, and then we'll get extra funding at the end of the year, and you can't nearly use it because we say the temperature. If you're resurfacing or redressing roads and the temperatures aren't at a proper level, then it's a waste of time. Like,
it's not a proper job.
And councils are put under pressure. Like, councils need to have them allocation ready to go the 1st of January.
Yeah,
that's common sense. That's not something that a department official should be able to say, well, no, we need, why are they not getting allocation is not till the 1st of March or the middle of February. Like that, it should be common sense to get their allocation in so that you have a roadworks programme ready to hit the ground running for the 1st of January or the 1st of February, like every year,
And is there anything that commuters or residents of Virginia and surrounding areas can do to help put pressure on to move this forward? I mean, we have a minister for state in our constituency who, ironically, the Minister for Enterprise, Tourism and Employment, with a special responsibility for promoting trade. So we have plenty of TDs and senators in this part of the country, more so now, I suppose, than ever we had now, and that's what I said. The point on the Monday that we have to work across party on this, and everyone has to kind of start jumping up and down and start shouting about it. I've been on to Senator Joe Riley and Deputy David Maxwell in the last couple of days as well. I think Joe raised it in the Shannon. Yeah, I saw that earlier on. Yeah. So David's going to raise it at parliamentary questions or something next. Raise it with the Taoiseach next week as well. So I suppose that's right. I'm applying the pressure there now as much as I can. But yeah, look, it's about, I suppose, the media pushing it as much as everything else. Do you know what I mean? It's about people just making noise about it as far as I can see. Yeah. And we'll be given several. I know, like, I'm going to get the consultants back in to give us an update, and they will always have an answer for you, and they'll always justify the delay and this, that, and the other. But we have to keep pushing and keep banging and shouting about it, I'm afraid, because otherwise it's never going to progress. Because I just see it go rolling from one year into the next, and it'll be date after date and push back again, and that's not acceptable. And is there a fear that if it runs on too much longer, that eventually it'll be a case of we can't afford it?
Well, look, we seem to be. We're told we're a wealthy country. We're told that we have plenty of money in the coffers at the minute, so that doesn't always last. And I think now is the time to be spending on infrastructure in this country for the future, because just in case things do take a dip, and we see the cost of. I'm at the building game myself in a mediocre way, in a very small way, but I see the cost of everything has ballooned, and in the last couple of years, like everything has nearly shifted up to 100% increase in costs. So you know, even, and when we talk about roads, like with the price of tar and everything else going up, the allocation that we are getting, while the allocation would be probably no more than we were getting 2 or 3 years ago, and maybe even less than that, we're not fit to get the same. We're not fit to get the same work out of the allocation because of the cost of stone and the cost of tar and everything else. You know.
Yeah. So it's a case of keep putting the pressure on and watch this space.
I think so, yeah. But I think the more people keep shouting about it, the more noise we keep making about it, hopefully someone will listen to it. But it's at the door of the TII now, and I need to find out why we're not progressing at a bit more pace now than we are.
Okay, well listen, Councillor T.P. O'Reilly, thanks a million for joining us here on the Virginia Roundup, and perhaps we'll talk to you again at a later stage with hopefully a more positive update on the Virginia bypass.
All right, Declan.
Thanks a million. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
The Virginia Roundup.
I'm joined now by Councillor Shane P. O'Reilly. Welcome to the Virginia Roundup. Thanks for joining us. What's your take on what's been going on in relation to the bypass?
Well, sure, look, I suppose I've been branded the doom and gloom expert when it comes to the Virginia bypass for the last number of years, because I've been saying for the last number of years that it wouldn't happen in 2040. I hope, and I've said this on numerous occasions, I really, really hope, Declan, that I'm going to be told that I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But the situation is, regarding the Virginia bypass, we've seen in several, I suppose, indoctrinations over the years, it was coming and it's coming and it's coming and it's still not here. And I'm 22 years in Cavan County Council.
Yeah. How long is this going back? Because at the time, I suppose people hoped maybe when the M3 Clonee to North Kells bypass was built that maybe we'd be tagged on to the end of that. But
yeah, and I think that actually, to be fair, I think that might have been where everyone took their eye off the ball. Genuinely. And, you know, sometimes, you know, politicians and certainly people involved in government departments and, you know what I mean, whatever else like that, they're not very quick at putting their hands up and saying, "Jeez, mea culpa, you know, we dropped the ball there." I always think the ball was dropped, and I do actually think, and in fairness to the Oireachtas members at the time and all involved, really and truly, the M3 should go straight to Cavan Town.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have had this issue. But, you know, I suppose at the time it wasn't in the plan. That was it. Whose fault is it? Nobody. You know, it's a collective situation there, and I think that it's something that we all, I suppose, can look back on and say, yeah, it wasn't the finest hour.
And I suppose, as TP mentioned in his interview there, it's kind of more or less out of Cavan County Council's hands to a certain degree. It's TII and the department that are really rolling this now, and although you'll take the flak for it, it's kind of above your.
But sure, at the end of the day, look at here, we went out and put our names on the ballot paper, and at the end of the day, you know, look at, if people want to, you know, voice their concerns, we're there to represent the people. And at the end of the day, unfortunately, the NTA, the TII, the Department of Transport, that's they hold all the cards in this situation. And as we've seen over the last while, you know, the first 18-month delay was bad enough, but last Monday, my God, it was delayed to be announced that it was been delayed for another 24 months. Was just a serious punch in the gut to all of us. And, you know, a few people would have said to me, "Ash, you're delighted, you've always said that." Yeah, well, I'm not. I'm not, because at the end of the day, I'm seeing what's going on there. There's people leaving Virginia, and people leaving Mulla, Castle, Rahan, Baladuff, you know, all around our parts of the world here. And they're leaving it at unearthly hours of the morning. Yeah. Just so that they can beat the traffic to get to work. I know a number. My son's an apprentice electrician. We know an awful lot of people who are involved in the trades. You know them yourself as well, and so does all my colleagues. They're leaving here at X time and arriving to sites in Dublin and having an hour's kip in the van. Yeah. Just to get ahead of the traffic. It's not right. Yeah. It's not right. I was meant to be with you today at a certain time to do this interview. And I was 37 minutes held up in Virginia.
Yeah. And this is it, like people, as you say, may blame councils, but you're affected by it because you're a resident in the area as well, so it impacts on you as well.
Look, it impacts on absolutely everybody. Like, I know, I was talking to a lady this morning, and she was waiting on. I won't go too much into it, because if there was any family members listening that know what it was about, but anyway, this person was waiting on a delivery, and the DPD driver was caught up in traffic anyway, and it had to be there by a certain time before the person landed home, and just by the skin of their teeth it happened.
Yeah.
And it was all because of the traffic. But look, at the end of the day, the bypass is a massive issue. The bypass is the singular biggest issue from an infrastructural project vision for Cavan County Council. And that was said on Monday last by the Chief Executive of Cavan County Council, Owen Doyle. The Director of Services, Paddy Connaughton, in reply to my colleague Councillor T.P. O'Reilly's motion regarding an update on the bypass and the progress, if any, at that time. And I will be totally honest with you, we were absolutely stunned at the response that we got.
Yeah, I think Senator Joe O'Reilly said in the channel during the week that it was basically a bombshell that was dropped. There was no warning. People may have had inklings, but there was no warning as such.
It is absolutely outrageous to think that we have been brought into more briefings and more meetings and more what do you call them, Zoom meetings and different things like that, and a little bit of common courtesy wouldn't have went too far, being honest with you. But I've had calls since last Monday when our local media announced what had happened at the meeting. I have had people ringing me, and when I say they're frustrated, I think my colleague TP used the word the other day on Shannon Side Northern Sound, that people are livid. Do you know what? I don't think even the word goes strong enough.
Yeah, that's putting it mild, I think, as well.
Putting it really mild. I've had the last number of days, I've had people on to me, business people. We have to be very cognizant of the fact that although the commuter, although the person who's traversing the road are finding themselves that they're under horror pressure, we'll go back to the rat runs in a minute. That is a major issue for me. Everybody's well aware of that. It's been well documented, the situation regarding the roads to the left and right of the N3. But we have young couples who are willing, wanting to build on their own land, and they're not allowed because they're within the corridor. We have farmers who are in absolute, complete and utter limbo as to where they're going to go with their own lands here or whatever like that, for further development, for the future development of their land holdings. We have businesses in the town of Virginia and outside it who are absolutely been choked, because what's happening is, when you get into Virginia, you put the boot down and keep going.
Yeah.
Like, these are our ratepayers. We have a duty to represent these people.
Yeah.
That's what we're elected for. And I know, I've taken some serious flack over the last number of days from people, and it's not personal. It's pure and utter frustration.
Yeah.
And I would say we have had Senator Joe made a very impassioned speech. I have to give him credit on behalf of his party to the Minister of State, Jerry Buttimer. And to be fair, an outstanding contribution. I do believe that, and I'm not here to promote anyone, but I do know that next Tuesday it has been raised again by Senator Sarah O'Reilly and Senator Jeremy Wilson. All three of those Oireachtas members have been in touch with me over the last number of days.
Yeah.
Nobody else has been in touch with me from the Oireachtas. But there was one question asked, and I think I don't know who it was, whether it was Joe or Sarah or Joe. I don't know which one of them anyway when they were speaking. I think they've tabled the motion wanting to know exactly how much has it costed so far, the preparation work for the N3. Unfortunately, the other day, the Director of Service, whilst being the messenger delivering very upsetting news to us as local representatives, he also read out a portion of the communication from the department. And anyone that knows me knows that I'm fairly easygoing. But I do have a temper. And I did get very irate. I'll be totally honest with you, because I know the situation that's affecting people when I was responding to the Director of Service. And, I certainly shot the messenger, but in the response from the department, in it, it's stated that the department is looking at a more streamlined delivery of funding to include active travel and other such programme heads in the delivery of the funding, and that basically the emphasis on the likes of the Virginia N3 bypass would not be, heretofore
in keeping with
what they're doing.
Yeah.
This is greenways.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting looking at that going, you know what? Have we lost the run of ourselves completely? Like, we have asked, myself and my 5 colleagues in the Ballyjoe Municipal District, we have asked now that we will have a delegation with the Minister.
Yeah.
I want to bring the Minister down. I want to bring the Minister down and sit him at the Lakeside Manor on a Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And say, would you sit in that?
Yeah.
I want to bring him down and put him outside Eddie O'Reilly's shop in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
When the school is the buses are trying to get out.
Yeah.
They're with the most precious thing that any of us have, our kids' lives.
Yeah.
Trying to pull out onto the road and they can't get out.
Mm-hmm.
At the situation, a bus driver, I'll tell you something, the bus drivers travelling to Virginia College are you know what, they're heroes.
Heroes, yeah.
Because
yeah.
if you saw what goes on sometimes at that junction, I can't believe it. And when the public realm works were being done, I actually had to get one of the bus companies. Everybody knows who the local bus company, don't know who's there, Noel, in fairness, such an obliging person.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually got him to bring down the bus. And we got an engineer to stand on the bus.
Yeah.
To show them how ridiculous it was, what they were asking them to do. Thankfully, there was a little bit of a change done there, whatever like that. But when you look at what's going on, this has gone beyond an issue regarding people traversing the road and getting from A to B. This has now become a major safety issue because the frustration of people is leading to people doing some very stupid things.
Yeah.
And when we go over to Knock Temple, when we go to Cross, and when you are on a Friday and you go over and you park at Cllrs and you stand at that crossroads and you watch the traffic coming from Mahara, cross to Cllrs and heading for Cross so that it can turn and head for Curradoo across to get out on the Virginia Bailey Road to avoid the town.
Yeah.
My God. It's actually beyond the beyonds.
Yeah.
Over in Knock Temple. Now, look at here. I have been talking about this for a long, long time. I was out 2 Sundays ago and I erected 32 signs.
I've seen them. I saw them during the week. Yeah.
To please slow
down. Yeah.
And myself and TP we are battering our heads off a wall with the department regarding this.
Yeah.
Because it's all fine. And as I said, and it was crudely said, as one person said to me, God, I don't know, Shane, that was a wee bit, to the bone. And I stand by it. The department officials, they will not be standing in a graveyard when someone's killed.
Yeah.
Over at Knock Temple or over at Cross or down at Killincare or even coming out, we'll say, as far as Gary Ross.
Yeah.
Down to Castlereagh Chapel on a Friday, especially.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And even at that, I was talking to a guard there quite a number of months ago, and he said to me something you alluded to there, that people, they sit in the traffic, they're frustrated, and when they get through Virginia, then they put the boot down. So it's not even necessarily that the rat runs are causing you danger, but it's when you get through Virginia, you decide, I need to make up time, lost time, and again, you act maybe a way you shouldn't act, and
but sure, all you have to do is come out to Mormont Cross. How many accidents have been there in the evenings? How many accidents have been there? Because what happens is people come over the hill there, so they do at Deer Park Manor, and they see the straight road ahead of them and bury the boot. Can you blame them? Do you know, like, let's be, and I have to say, look, driver attitudes have to change.
Yeah, well, that's true.
But the situation is, and I want to pay tribute, and I have to say this, I want to pay tribute to our local sergeant in Virginia, in the work that he has done. Anytime any public representative makes a representation to An Garda Síochána in this area regarding the issues, I have to say we have never, and Sergeant McDevitt there and his colleagues, the Cavan Roads Policing Division, as we know, is based in Virginia as well. And I have to say, they're brilliant. Absolutely fantastic, so they are.
Yeah.
And in fairness now, and it was my colleague, T.P. O'Reilly, I have to say this here, and I'm straight up about it, has worked with An Garda Síochána along with the council to ensure that we can get the speed vans out to different places. to send that message home.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, I think it's very important that when it comes to that, we've set up now the local security committees, to replace the JPCs.
Yeah.
And thankfully, TP is now the vice chair of that. And I think that's a great thing for our area, And what we have to do is, we're all working collectively here. There's nobody trying to get any political points scored here. This is too busy. This is beyond politics. This has got to a stage where, I don't care who gets what or who does what.
Yeah.
This is an issue that has to be looked after. And the bypass, when you hear them talking about, and Minister Buttimer, God help him, I don't think he realised what he was saying the other day.
Yeah.
When he basically might as well have got a syringe and sapped the life of every one of us that have been campaigning for it for years. When he said the following words, it is anticipated that the ecological surveys will take place in the not too distant future. Now, Q4 2027.
That's optimistic, probably.
My rear end.
Yeah.
Right? And that's as plain away as I can put it.
Yeah.
And of course, now I'll be told, doom and gloom merchant again. I'm being honest with the people. Because, look at here. I don't know. We've asked for this delegation. Myself and my colleagues have asked for a delegation on numerous occasions to actually sit down and discuss this. They met with us once, and I'll tell you when they met with us. They met with us after a local man suffered horrendous life-changing injuries at Cllrs, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a number of years ago, and people who will know the situation will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That is the last time that they met us in person.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go by elections here. It was after 2014.
Right, okay.
So we're talking, what?
12 years.
Oh, God, maybe 11 then.
Yeah.
Maybe 11 then, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
And we continue to ask them that. And being a local councillor, I'm there 22 years. People come along and they ask you to do things and raise things on their behalf, and you do it. And especially regarding these issues with, TII, the NTA, all that sort of stuff, the Department of Transport. And you come along anyway, and you do your best, and you make your representations, whatever else of that. And then you're trying to get to talk to the powers that be. And it's, please send an email to this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get this standard reply, if you're lucky.
The stock answer here.
But we have had a situation here in our municipal district. We've sent letters over the years, and it hasn't even been replied to.
Mm-hmm.
And then people come to us, they're doing nothing. Yes, they're doing nothing, And I'd be up so would in Dáil on numerous occasions in the last while, meeting different ministers over different things, and junior ministers about, different things or whatever like that, and a lot of personal issues for people. And you'd meet the senior minister come and say, I need to have a chat with you about such and such and such. Yeah, sure, send it into the office there. I should have might as well send it to myself.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know that's simplifying the whole thing, and people say, he's trying to pass the buck on or something. I'm not. I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But all we can do is we implore on our Oireachtas members.
Mm-hmm.
And look at they know themselves. They don't need us to tell them. Look at here, they're getting the correspondence. They're getting the representations. Every one of them, regardless of what party or none they are in Cavan. And then the councillors in this area. But it just doesn't affect the councillors in this area. And that's what I said the other day at the meeting. The councillors in the Bailieborough Hill area are coming under as much flack about the N3 Virginia bypass as we are.
Mm-hmm. Because
all their constituents are using these roads, the back roads and everything, to try and get, or as Senator Joe said in his contribution in the Senate, the wee roads. And he's right, because that's all they are.
Yeah.
They were never designed for the traffic that's on them.
Yeah.
Never designed. And we've HGV drivers, and that, as I said, I alluded to the traffic survey that was done by our area office here in Virginia, did a traffic survey to actually send home the message to the department about the issues at Knocktemple. And when you hear that a person drove past Knocktemple National School at 8 o'clock in the morning at 139 kilometres on a 60-kilometre road.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, look at you. That's just totally irresponsible. Yeah. But the worst of it all was when we went through it, and it went through motorbikes, one at 120 kilometres an hour. And come on, that an articulated lorry with a loaded trailer went past Knocktemple National School. I think it's 97 kilometres an hour away. Wow. Shit, that's just, And constantly when we're bringing these things up and down, we speak to the Gardaí Síochána, as I've said, and who will do anything they can to help us. Mm-hmm. They will turn around and say to you, well, the end of the day, there's only so many of them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
they don't have the
can't be
numbers either.
everywhere. Yeah.
Like, we look at the great, it was pomp and ceremony and the great announcement that was made the other day about the trainee Gardaí that were been appointed each in every district and whatever else like that. Yeah, we're getting 3 in Cavan, Monaghan, Louth. 3 in Cavan, Monaghan end of the Cavan, Monaghan, Louth division. Yeah. 1 in Cavan and 2 in Monaghan.
Right.
Like, come on.
Yeah, it's not going to make a huge
difference.
difference.
Pick a difference.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying to you? But, you know, I think on Garda Síochána are as frustrated as we are.
Yeah.
I think that the local council are as frustrated as we are. I think then in Cavan, they're certainly very frustrated. And I can tell you after Monday, I think that the powers that be in Cavan have really sat back and went, well, honest to God, they couldn't have had it more articulated better than the local representatives and what we were saying, because it is mental. But you would begin to wonder, does Dublin care?
Yeah.
You know?
And we speak about residents of Virginia and people in and around the Virginia area, but it doesn't just affect them. It affects people who are businesses, who are maybe transport companies who are trying to get through Virginia. It's lost time, lost diesel, and also, I suppose, the environmental effects of trucks sitting there with fumes and all kinds of things.
Oh, that was another thing that was raised. In fairness, the Cathaoirleach of Cavan County Council at this present moment in time, for this term, is Councillor John Paul Feely from Black Lion, and he spoke about the N3 bypass and about the haulage contractors in West Cavan, and they have no choice but use this area. But unfortunately, there's a few of them starting to creep onto the wee roads, as we called it, and you know, we have, very luckily, some people will agree with me, some people won't, we are very, very lucky to have a very, very profitable and a very, I suppose, intense agricultural area in this area. And we would have a lot of HGVs. It used to be creamery cans were collected on a donkey cart or a massey in a trailer. That day is gone. It's you know, it's articulated lorries and all that. And they're traversing these wee roads as well. And they're doing their best not to cause issues around like that. But the roads were never designed for them either. Yeah. And that's not the fault of the dairy companies around like that. This is what has to happen. And when we look at what's going on here, we have Cllrs, an outstanding company providing an outrageous amount of employment in our local area. Lakeland Dairy is the same. These are success stories of our own county. Yeah. But we're not providing the infrastructure for them to be able to carry out the business that they have to carry out. Yeah. When I look at what's going on, you know, in the town of Virginia, and you look at the amount of businesses that are along the main street, and we have a lot of professional services. But when we speak about the shops, and we speak about our supermarkets, and we have the couple of coffee shops and whatever else, and we have a fantastic supermarket and whatever else like that, people are avoiding the town. Yeah. If you're on the Mulla side, you go to Cllrs. Yeah. Yeah, TP alludes to this. And this is a fact. And the Cavan side, you go to Ballajames. You go to Balladuff, or you go into Cavan Town or whatever. This is an issue that is not all about traffic. If we were to look at an economic viability plan on this, I would be afraid to suggest it because it would delay it another 5 years. But that's just being honest. You know, I listened to my colleague Michael Fitzmaurice, and I'm not name dropping politically, nothing like that. I listened to him the other day, and he spoke about the National Habitats Directive. We have not got there yet as regards the bypass. The National Habitats Directive, we haven't got to that yet. Yeah. Because we haven't got into the planning. So we haven't to do the ecological surveys and all that, whatever. And he was speaking about, you know, and people would say I'm an anti-environmentalist and all this. Now, I'm not. But I'm for progress and ensuring that I have 5 children from the ages of 21 to 12. And I want them to be able to live in this area. I want them to be able to build a home in this area if they wish. I want them to be able to contribute to the economy of this area, to an area that has been so good to me to return me to Cavan County Council on 5 occasions. And please God, they will again. But what I'm saying is, I'm of this area, for this area. And what I see is that this project is choking the very economic viability of our area. Yeah. And, you know, I think it was the other day on the interview on Northern Sound, I thought it was very interesting that Ronan Gargan, he was speaking to myself and to Tipi, and he said that there was a house advertised recently, and it had put on the advertisement that it was the Mulla side of Virginia. Right. So that people would realise where they wanted to, you know what I mean? We shouldn't have to do that. Yeah. But when you look at what has happened, we were choked here in this area because the wastewater treatment plant in Virginia was not up to scratch. thankfully, through a serious amount of lobbying, through a lot of hard work over a lot of years, it's now nearly coming to fruition or whatever like that. And we will see quite a bit of growth around Virginia at the present moment, in the future. And there was a number of developers and a number of people willing to provide local employment and all that. Couldn't go ahead with all that because it wasn't up to scratch. And now we have that sorted. And the thing that now has been going on, you asked the question at the very start, how long has the bypass gone on? From my, I suppose, research and going into the annals of the County Council, it was first mooted. The first plans, I think, were mooted in 1983.
Wow.
Now, before that, there was talk of it, but it was about a kind of a ring road. It was never about a full bypass.
Yeah.
And 1983 is when there was a number of lands purchased at the sides of roads to allow those roads to be widened to bring the traffic onto the new road, as it was.
Yeah.
And that goes back to 83. It was 2. So I would hope that it won't take another 41 years before it comes.
Don't count your chickens.
Yeah. But I'm here. I'm just been very, very honest. I have to say I want to thank you very much for the opportunity for being allowed to speak. I do think that we are very frustrated.
Do you think there's, because TP mentioned this as well, that this constituency, we've lots of elected representatives in Dáil Éireann. Do you think there's a lack of willingness or a lack of awareness of this problem? Or
I will be totally honest and I will say it straight up. I could, as an independent, plaguing all your houses and you're all doing nothing and blah, 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 blah. That's the politics of nonsense. As I said, I will work with Jack the Devil to ensure that this project goes ahead. I don't care what jersey you're wearing. At the end of the day, this is about politics.
Yeah.
Are the Oireachtas members, are they not? I'd be totally honest with you. They are being met, as far as I'm concerned, they are being met with the same stonewalling and the same issues that myself and my colleagues in the council have been met with. I do have to say, of course, when you have someone that is in office, you would hope that it might, open a few doors. But at the end of the day, I suppose there's 45 others looking for the doors to be opened. But what I can't understand is, and this is not getting political, successive governments have promised the bypass. Regardless of what party, and none.
Yeah.
They have promised the bypass. Successive governments have spoken about the need for the connectivity for this part of the world to our capital city. But have done sweet FA about it. We also have an awful lot of stuff written into reports and these wonderful programs for government and programs for future development of the regions and all this. And we have the wonderful 2040 document. And I always go back to what I have said on numerous occasions. 2040 is on them documents for a reason. And people will call me a total cynic for saying it.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, if it's delivered in 2038 or 2039 or 2037, I will be the first to congratulate everyone that was involved.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you here and I'm telling you now, I want it to be delivered in 2027.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be there. I think that sometimes in politics, we can all be very, very quick to point out and to ridicule the efforts of colleagues. And this is one project that calls for complete 100% union.
Yeah.
Because for me to be political, this played totally into my barra, of course, being a non-government representative.
Yeah.
Sure, I could be making hay out of this if I wanted to. Now, who's that going to serve? Nobody.
Nobody, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely nobody. Because all it's doing is just creating a narrative of they're disjointed down there.
Yeah.
I think the department has to understand that irregardless of what political party you represent, or none, whether you're on the council, in the Senate, in the Dáil, or sitting at a ministerial table, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That we are unison going forward to get this project delivered.
Yeah, because the end goal is the same for everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that it can't be lost in the conversation the importance of unanimity on this. Because what's going to end up happening is that, you have certainly, I've noticed it lately in government, where one party has one portfolio and the other has another portfolio, and they seem to be at each other as to, whatever like that.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Leave that outside the door. Leave it outside the door.
Yeah.
But what the only thing I will say today is that anybody that has any major opinion on this issue, if they could, go on to the Department of Transport website.
Yeah.
And you will see contact the Minister, Darragh O'Brien, and in a nice way, to just ask, when is the department meeting the delegation and the Minister from Cavan County Council regarding this issue?
And to keep the pressure on.
Absolutely.
Also, when we were talking to TP earlier on, he mentioned about trying keep it highlighted in media as well.
Yeah.
Locally, and I suppose if you can get it on national media, it's the thing to do as well, because it is, as I say, it's not just an issue that affects County Cavan, it's a wider issue for the region. There's
a wonderful programme, wonderful production was done this morning. It went out on Galway Bay FM about the ring road in Galway. And my God, when you listen to it, talk about replicating exactly everything that's going on in Virginia. And that is all over a square of ground that has some type of porcelain stone that they have to lift before they can do it. And this has gone on, I think, 17 years.
Yeah.
Now, sure, I'll go down and lift it for them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sure, but that's the point I'm making. Unfortunately, people are very frustrated. People get very frustrated over the whole issue. But I can't put my finger on blaming anybody. But unfortunately, the one thing I will say is that the cogs of progress in Ireland move very slowly. And the amount of stages of delivery of projects like this is crazy.
Are we too afraid to upset different sectors of the community? I mean, my wife lived in Brussels for 10 years in the late 80s into the 90s, and she said over there, if they're building a road, and if it goes through your sitting room, well, it's hard luck, we're building it, and that's it. Whereas we have more planning, hearings, oral hearings, appeals. Are we too...
And that hasn't started yet here.
Yeah.
That hasn't started. Like, we have there's a route agreed. Okay. We have some people are going to lose their homes. Absolutely terrible thing to happen.
Yeah.
But we have farmers who are their lands are going to be, fragmented and divided and split into and whatever else. Yeah. You know who's to blame for an awful lot of it? Politicians. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because there's too much trying to, I suppose, keep the people on side a lot of the time. And some people would say to you, sure, that's your job. Yeah, sure, it may be. But at the end of the day, instead of, I suppose, having, a hardline view on doing certain things and doing this and doing that, and then people start talking about that's a bit of Trumpism. And I've been accused of that before in my time. But anyway, the situation is that I think that there is far too much pandering to interests.
Yeah.
I think that there are far too many NGOs. I think that a lot of these things, God, we could go off on a big tangent here. We could end up in trouble here, Shane. Yeah. The situation is that I do think that there is so many organisations that are looking for something to...
Vested interest.
Yes. Yeah. Looking for something, as I do call them, the Bleeding Heart Brigade.
Yeah.
They're always out there to find something to whinge and cry about and to stop progress. Unfortunately, that has been allowed to happen.
Yeah.
Who has allowed it to happen? Ourselves. Ourselves, because we have, I suppose, as a nation, we've allowed ourselves to kind of, we don't say no. We're a bit of a, we're easy going.
Yeah. And was it more because I suppose we're getting away from the topic we're talking about, but I mean, I suppose I remember back in the 80s, people getting out in the streets and protesting about taxes and things like that. Now and maybe it's because we're in the age of social media, it's easier to tap on the old keyboard and be a keyboard warrior and complain that way. But people will complain, but nobody will actually get up off their backside and get out and stand up for whatever they claim they believe in.
Well, I always do laugh about the keyboard warriors because I've been a victim of it myself on numerous occasions, and it's funny that when I do something like this, interviews or something like that, for the week after I get some terrible abuse over different things, and I used to care about things like that, but I just say, well, I suppose when they're engaging with you, it's more than they were doing prior.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and if I was everybody's cup of tea, I'd be a mug.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, you know what? It's the people that elected me to Cavan County Council. Hopefully, they'll continue to do so.
Yeah.
But I am there. I'm not. I am not dishcloth either. And certainly, if I've anything to say, it'll be said. But I do feel that there is too much keyboard warriorism going on. And a lot of the time, the keyboard warriors will send, messages about this should be done and that should be done and this should be done and why has this been done and why has that been done. And I think actually if people would take a time and actually look at this is a very important point regarding roads funding. And it gets lost on people because people say, what do you mean? When I start to explain what actually happens.
Yeah.
So as regards the N3 Virginia bypass, that is going to be delivered by the NTA, which is the National Transport Authority, in conjunction with the TII, which is Transport Infrastructure Ireland, Cavan County Council and the Department of Transport. Now, after that's delivered, it becomes Cavan County Council that has to look after it, so they have to look for the funding for maintenance. Now, when they look for the funding for maintenance of that, let's say €100,000 comes to them to do the maintenance on it for the period of 2027. If there's €40,000 left over of that, it has to go back to the state.
Right.
Because it was allocated on a certain heading that it cannot be used for another heading.
So they can't use it for something else.
And this is what totally frustrates us as local councillors. And I think, hopefully there are people listening who will be on to me and on to my colleagues, and they will be saying, geez, I can't believe all that money was spent on the street of Virginia. All that money was spent on the street of Mulla or Ballyjim stuff or Killinellig. Geez, that was through the NTA. That is done through a completely different heading that we would have very little say in, if any.
Yeah.
But what we have the say in is we get an allocation every year of roads funding for our area. We have a situation in our area. We've over 3,000 kilometres of road in this area that is looked after by the Ballyjames Municipal District, by the office in the Virginia Courthouse.
Yeah.
Right? We have 2 engineers and we have an area manager and a couple of admin support staff in there who are looking after all that. And we have to allocate that money as councillors. It is brought to us in a plan as to do what? We had a situation a couple of weeks ago where we had an in-committee meeting, and of course I can't speak about what went on at in-committee meetings, but all I can say is I, along with TP and our other colleagues, had to make some very, very, very drastic decisions as to where money is going to be spent.
Yeah.
And then it has to go back to the department for approval. Even though we know where the money needs to be spent.
Yeah.
We go back to the department could say, no. You're not allowed to spend that 80,000 on that. You're not allowed to do this. We're looking at projects that have been waiting for maybe 7 or 8 years. Us taking money from part of that maybe to try and a stitch in time saving 9 to some of the roads to the left and right of the N3, or they're going to totally disintegrate, and we will certainly have fatalities.
Yeah.
But we can only do that under a certain heading.
Right, yeah.
So when you have a situation where you read in the Anglo-Celt or on Shannonside Northern Sound, or you see in the Irish Independent, that Cavan County Council has been allocated 9.7 million for active travel schemes and the improvement of road structure. Yeah. It's only for the improvement of the road structure of the roads that are under that heading,
right, that
are linking up with your greenways and your whatever ways. And I sat the other day and I looked at 4 million being given to Cavan County Council for cycleways in and around Cavan town.
Yeah.
And we'll be a long time looking at them before we'll see a bike on them.
Yeah, well, TP mentioned that as well.
Oh, well, he's telling the truth. Sure, we're all of the one hymn sheet here. But yet, Can you imagine what that 4 million could do to the roads around here?
Yeah.
But we can't use it because under that heading, we are not allowed to use it.
It's for that and that alone.
And then when we get an allocation, or annual allocation, it will come down from on high, and it will say in at the bottom, in little addendum at the bottom of it, in small writing, it'll say, please remember that 20% of that must be used on regional routes. So when we look at it and we say, oh, that's fantastic, we can get the Clifford Gould to Mahara Road done, we can get the road from, we'll say, Cashel here, out as far as Castlereagh Chapel, we can get Carrigeeshel done, we can get down here done as well, we can get over to the Scray done, we can get Drummagolan done, we can get all these things that we have to get done. The Cross Muller Road, Main Street Muller, is whatever like that. Yeah. Getting all these things done. And then you look at it and you go, hold on a minute, no, 20% has to be spent on the regional route. And we have to ensure that the 20% is spent on the regional route. So the next thing is the road that we wanted to get done, because it's not a regional route, it's an L number. Yeah. It can only come out of a certain pot. And I think people, I'm long enough around to know how this all operates. Yeah. Well, it's you'd want at this stage. But when I look at some people and they say to me, yes, you spent an awful money on such and such a church, it didn't need to be done. That wasn't us. The money was filtered through Cavan County Council because Cavan County Council were the contractor to set it off to a subcontractor to do the work on behalf of the NTA or the TII. Yeah. And then we get told, that road didn't need to be done at all. Sure, maybe it didn't need to be done at all, but we didn't decide it had to be done. Yeah. That came from Dublin. Yeah. And this is where there is such disjointedness. We're sitting in a room, and then in the courthouse, or in Virginia Show Centre or wherever, where we're having our meetings here in Castlereagh or whatever. We're trying to make a decision as to where money can be spent. And then we're told, no, we've gone across that budget now, we can't do that, but we'll have to wait now, because to wait then till October for all the monies to go back from all the councils that can't be spent under the Sultan head, to give it back to you on another heading, where you could have had the work done. Yeah. And this is the most frustrating thing as being an elected local councillor. That I know that there's a kilometre of road to be done. And if we don't do it this year, there will be no basis, there will be no nothing in order for to do it next year, because it will be totally ravelled away, it'll be totally disintegrated. And yet they come to us in October and say, yeah, you can have the money for that. And sure, you can't do it because the weather isn't so bad. Suitable, like today, I think today is the first day it didn't rain in 44 days. Yeah. But this is the problem with the bypass as well. So when people hear that there is €1.2 million has been allocated for the provision of the N3 Virginia bypass, you need to look into the actual detail of what the 1.3 million was. Yeah. It was to pay the consultants, and it was to look for your ecological studies and all that sort of
surveys. And
It's not actually for
the actual physical building of it.
Not at all.
It's all the admin.
All the admin, all that. Like we have seen there for the last 2 years, landowners, people in doing big holes and digging these test holes and all that. Remember, they did that back in 2006 as well. And I was asked one question by a man the other day. He says, how much does all that cost? I says, I couldn't tell you. I haven't a clue, because it all came in this one allocation or whatever like that. So I think what we need to do is, the system, as far as I'm concerned, is broken. No question about it. There's major oversight and all that on it. Of course there is. And no one is suggesting in any way that the money is, not been done to do whatever. It's not been used to do what we wanted to do. Yeah. At all. But what I do think is that maybe it's another reason why the department needs to sit down with us and be very open with people. Why is there all this cloak and dagger and shadow boxing that goes on? And what's this all about? Yeah. I could never understand that. People of this area, you will meet no more wonderful people. And if you're straight with them and you say, look, this is what we're doing. Why are you doing that? Well, we have to do this at point A to get to point B. Yeah. And if we don't do that, we can't get to point B. Well, tell the people what you're doing. Yeah. For. But don't do what was done to us last Monday. Don't make idiots of everyone. Yeah. Not just the elected reps. The people. The people who are afraid to leave their homes, who are sitting in rat runs this evening, it's Friday, who are going to be sitting over there, so they are, in Muncherconnett or Crofts, and they can't put the nose of their car out, whatever, to go collect kids from buses or whatever like that, because the cars are doing 139 kilometres past their gate. And I think that people are very accepting. So if you just be honest and be straight up with people, I think people will accept it for what it is.
Yeah.
But there is frustration out there. And the reason why you have frustration is when you try to conceal the truth.
Yeah.
And if you would come along and just be honest with people, you'll bring people with you.
Yeah.
And in fact, you might actually get far more doors open locally than you ever realised before.
Yeah.
Because we are a very, as we spoke about earlier on, we're a very easygoing sort of people.
Yeah.
But when you look at people who are coming home this evening after doing a week's work in Dublin, and they're up and down the road and up and down the road, and they get home this evening at 7 o'clock, and because of the bypass, they've been sitting maybe in traffic. Because they've no bypass, they've been sitting, 40 minutes out the road to get home to see their kids, get home to see their wife, or their husband, get home to see their significant other, should I say, and especially on Valentine's weekend. Yeah. And the situation is that they just want to spend time with their family.
Yeah.
But when they get in there this evening, this Friday evening, and they'll close that door, they don't want to come out of it again. And our community is losing because of it.
Yeah.
Because of the frustration. They're not getting involved in the football club. They're not getting involved in the handball club. They're not getting involved in the basketball. They're not, getting involved in the park run or the rugby club, or they're not getting involved in all these absolutely amazing facilities that we have in the area. Wonderful volunteers who really need help.
Yeah.
And that's another part of this. And I suppose that's a part of the human story.
Yeah.
Of the issues regarding the bypass that nobody talks about.
Yeah. Because it's, as you say, people have done a day's work or a week's work, and then it's another job of work to get home. And when they get home, it's just, as you say,
they want to go
shut down and feed up, and that's
watch the late this evening, have a couple of cans of beer, glass of wine, reconnect with their family.
Yeah.
Get up tomorrow morning, maybe go out for a bit of breakfast or cook a lock or whatever, and sit around the kitchen table and actually catch up with their kids.
Yeah.
Go off and do whatever activities they're trying to do, whatever like that. And then Sunday comes along, and sure, if they're into going to their place of worship, they will, or whatever else. That's everybody's own opinion. Sunday evening comes along, and the old adage that we all remember years ago, I don't know whether you do or not, but when Glen Rowe used to come on, we all panicked.
The fear.
And that'll happen for Sunday evening, is getting the thoughts of having to get into that car and head for Dublin again.
Yeah.
And that's why, a community can only thrive when, I suppose, the bits are put in place to allow it to thrive. And the volunteers that we have in this area are absolutely amazing.
That is fantastic. As we found out doing this podcast, there are fantastic organisations in the area and in the surrounding areas.
And people the unsung heroes that there is around here, in all our communities, I'd say in the greater Virginia area. Like, look at, but it is strangling community life. And if there's one thing that we can do, I just want to articulate that to the minister.
Yeah.
I just want to be given an opportunity, you know what I mean, to sit in front of a minister and say, listen, can you just listen to me for a couple of minutes? Now, of course, it'll turn into a lot more minutes because, as you know, I'm a wonderful talker. But what I mean is, these are the aspects of life that if we're going to ensure that we leave the place a bit better, that was the most amazing thing. Dr. Mick Loftus, he passed away last year, Dr. Mick Loftus, one of the former presidents of the GAA, a wonderful man from Mayo. And Dr. Mick Loftus, he spoke about that the quality of the education of this country can only be delivered by those teachers who wish to ensure that they leave the place a bit better than they found it. And I always say that is to do with myself as a local public representative. If you went into this to be popular, you're an idiot. If you went into being an elected rep to earn money, well, you were a bigger idiot.
Yeah.
And if you went into it to be everybody's friend, you were a complete idiot. But all I want to do is that I am so thankful and so grateful to the people of this area that would elect me to the local authority, that I have to ensure that it is imperative upon me to leave the place a bit better where I got it. And if there's only one thing I can achieve in life, that'll do me.
Yeah.
But we are been stymied by the non-urgency of departments to ensure that we have the access and the likes of the bypass to ensure that we do leave the place a bit better than we got.
Yeah.
And until we can get and sit in front of that minister, and it's not, the minister knows.
Yeah.
And this is not a window dressing exercise. This is not a box ticking exercise either. We have to sit down with the minister. We have to sit down with the NTA, the TII, and the department. And we have to put our cards and our hearts on the table.
Yeah.
And explain exactly what I have done, what TP has done earlier on in your interview. We have to put it on the line. Listen, we're asking for your help here.
Yeah.
Because if we don't get that help, you might as well cut the jugular to our area.
Yeah.
Because we are been totally and utterly stuffed.
As you say, it's not just a traffic issue; it's the life of the town.
This is so much bigger than traffic.
Yeah.
We're talking about the economic situation, the life situation. We're talking about the furtherance of a wonderful, vibrant, amazing community to live in. You know, we have young people, I'm sure all they want to do is emigrate.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if we started to actually look at what we can do here, you know what?
Yeah.
They won't want to go away.
This is it.
Because you will not live in a better place in this country than this part of the world.
This is it, yeah. And fantastic facilities and amenities, the lake, the forest, you know, for tourism. And as I said to TP, like people, if you're stuck 20, 25 minutes or 40 minutes as you are trying to get through Virginia, you're not going to stop in Virginia because you just want to get home or get to your destination. So that you're not going to stop and go in and buy a bar of chocolate or whatever it might be. Just keep going.
And you see, the thing about it is, and this is getting into the life situation again. If you are stuck in traffic for 40 minutes and you don't want to go into, we'll say, Eddie O'Reilly's or into Skelly's there to make a purchase, and then they won't have the money in turn that when the rugby club goes looking for a set of jerseys, or the basketball, or the Rammer United, or Mahara McFinn's, or you know what I mean, Muncher Connacht, my own CLG Cuchulainn, you know what I mean. We are dependent on these people.
It's a knock-on effect.
We are so dependent on these people to and those businesses.
Yeah,
you know, and God knows, I'll tell you one thing, they are outstanding, and they are never found wanting when it comes to supporting the local clubs and organisations.
Yeah. And it is important, I suppose, to re-emphasise that about supporting local business.
Oh, big time. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
I know we're going off on a detour here, but
well, you know, I suppose
it's all part of the
I don't think I've ever had the opportunity to really talk about the area, you know.
Yeah.
So Dad said I started national school in St Killian's National School in Mulla, and Virginia is always our town. You know what I mean? It was always the town, not the village, you know. And it's amazing to think that I think St Mary's and St Killian's nearly have the same amount of kids at them now, like, which is, you know what I mean? And then, you know, but Virginia Vocational School, that's where I got my education. Yeah. That's where I met my wife. So, you know, and that's it. So we started off there at 14 years of age together, and sure, now we're 22 years married in July, and we have 5 kids, so there you are.
She's probably still trying to educate you.
Well, God help her. That's all I can say. I think maybe she should go talk to the minister and see could she get direction on it. Yeah, but no. Look, it's you know, there's many stories can be told about it anyway. And I suppose I can go back to being, you know, 15 years of age, reading the local paper and talked about the N3 bypass of Virginia. Yeah. So you know, this is, as I've said, and you have said, and TP has said, and all our colleagues have said, this is far more than a road. Yeah. And that's it. Yeah.
And just talking, as I mentioned TP, we had posted up on Facebook, and lots of people responded to it, and the frustration, you could see it through the comments. But there was, I think, earlier in the week when this came to the public attention, one of the social media pages, somebody put up a comment which I thought was funny only that it's probably true. The comment was that I think at this stage it'd probably be easier just to move to town.
Yeah, Shady Mac. Oh Christ, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Imagine the amount of paperwork we'd have to go through to do that. Shady Mac, will you stop? You know, it's getting to the stage where we could probably be better off to build a bridge across the lake at this stage. Yeah. You know, you can laugh about things. I wouldn't be one bit surprised if the department came back and said something like that. But all we can do is keep banging the drum. I certainly can say to the people on my behalf, and I won't speak for any of the rest of the councillors, they're well fit to speak for themselves, but I know myself and TPB singing out the one hymn sheet. And by God, we will do everything in our power to deliver this.
Well, as you say, anyone listening to this, get on to the Minister's office.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any of your representatives, media, anything at all to, I suppose, highlight this and keep it in the public eye.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose you have to wear them down.
Well, you'll get nothing for sitting in the corner crying about it to yourself. We have to go higher, and we have to talk, and we have to ensure that the voices of the people of this area are heard. They're the people who put their trust and put their faith in myself and others to deliver the message on their behalf, and that is what we must do.
Councillor Shane P. O'Reilly, thank you for joining us here on the Virginia Roundup.
My pleasure, thank you.
And as Shane P. said there, all we can do is try and keep the pressure on our politicians and keep this particular subject highlighted in media, local media and national media, if possible. That's all we can do. Right, I think after all that, we need a 2-minute reset.
The 2-minute reset on the Virginia Roundup.
Thank you, Declan, and welcome to February's 2-minute reset here on the Virginia Roundup. This month, I'm going to be talking about managing stress at work. Workplace stress is common, but it doesn't have to control your day. Deadlines, meetings, and constant notifications can quickly feel overwhelming. Here are a few steps to help managing stress at work. Start by identifying your top priorities each morning. Focus on 2 or 3 essential tasks and break larger projects into smaller steps. This creates a sense of direction and reduces the anxiety that comes from feeling overloaded. Build short breaks into your schedule. Even 5 minutes to stretch, take a short walk, or practice deep breathing can reset your mind and lower tension. Simple techniques like inhaling for 4 seconds and exhaling slowly help calm your nervous system. Clear communication also reduces stress. If expectations are unclear or workloads feel heavy, speak with your manager early rather than waiting until pressure builds. Finally, protect your boundaries. Log off at a consistent time, limit after-hours emails, and make space for rest. Adequate sleep, balanced meals, and regular movement strengthen your ability to cope. Stress may be part of work, but with small daily habits, you can stay balanced, focused, and well. I'm Michelle, and I'll talk to you on the next episode of the Virginia Roundup.
The 2-minute reset on the Virginia Roundup.
Many thanks for that, Michelle. And Michelle will be back with some more wellness advice next month here on the Virginia Roundup. And that is all we have time for on the Virginia Roundup for this month. As we mentioned earlier on, if you want to get in touch with us about anything at all, in particular, if you want to get in touch in relation to the N3 Virginia bypass and the lack of movement on same, you can email the virginiaroundup@gmail.com. You can contact us on Facebook. And of course, you can leave a voice note at speakpipe.com/the Virginia Roundup. My thanks to all my guests and contributors on the programme today, to Gary Brazil, to TP O'Reilly, and to Shane P. O'Reilly, and of course to Michelle as well for the 2-minute reset. We'll be back with you in March here on the Virginia Roundup. So until then, from Declan Traynor, stay safe and goodbye for now.